The record for the most Mr. Olympia wins stands at 8, shared by Lee Haney and Ronnie Coleman, two athletes separated by a decade yet linked by perfection. Haney achieved his 8 consecutive victories from 1984 to 1991 through balance, symmetry, and strategic conditioning that redefined the ideal male form. Coleman, meanwhile, ruled from 1998 to 2005 by ushering in a new era of sheer size and strength, maintaining contest-ready conditioning at nearly 300 pounds. Both men demonstrated complete dominance over vastly different competitive fields, setting standards that remain unreachable. To surpass 8 Olympias, an athlete must sustain flawless peaks, avoid injuries, maintain political favor, and outlast an evolving lineup for nearly a decade. Modern competitors face shorter primes, deeper competition, and more judging volatility, making the probability of 9 wins extremely low. With each new generation lasting fewer years at their peak, this joint record has effectively become the upper limit of human longevity and consistency in professional bodybuilding. Most consecutive Mr. Olympia wins, 8 straight. Winning 8 Mr. Olympia titles is astonishing. Winning 8 in a row is almost unimaginable. Lee Haney set the original streak between 1984 and 1991, redefining what sustained dominance looked like. He built his reign through flawless conditioning, intelligent periodization, and a physique that balanced mass with symmetry at a time when aesthetics still ruled judging criteria. Ronnie Coleman then matched that streak from 1998 to 2005, but did so in a completely different era, one obsessed with mass and density. Coleman's ability to continuously grow in size while maintaining extreme leanness turned him into a legend and cemented the modern freak era of bodybuilding. The reason this record appears unbreakable lies in its demands. Each year requires a full season of dieting, posing, injury management, and psychological pressure at the highest level. Any misstep, illness, travel fatigue, minor injury, or even political shifts can derail an entire prep. Today's field is deeper and more globally competitive, with athletes peaking later and retiring earlier. Maintaining 8 consecutive wins demands near superhuman genetics, perfect health, and absolute dominance, conditions unlikely to align again in a single career. Only man to lose and regain the Mr. Olympia. Jay Cutler's comeback in 2009 remains one of bodybuilding's most improbable turnarounds. After losing the Mr. Olympia crown to Dexter Jackson in 2008, most believed his era was finished. Champions who fall from the top rarely return. The momentum of judging trends, media perception, and athlete confidence usually shifts permanently. Yet Cutler reversed all of that in a single season. He rebuilt his physique with greater separation, improved detail in his legs, and a fuller, drier upper body that completely overpowered the competition. The moment he stepped on stage in 2009 with his now iconic quad stomp pose, the crowd and judges knew the title was his again. The difficulty of regaining an Olympia title lies in the body's decline after years of extreme preparation. Muscle density fades, joints ache, and motivation wanes. Meanwhile, new contenders emerge hungrier and genetically fresher. Jay's comeback defied that cycle, proving mastery of adaptation, discipline, and psychological resilience. To replicate his feat, a champion would need to lose against a younger, sharper lineup, then return with a physique so radically improved it resets the standard overnight. In today's environment, that's nearly impossible. Most Arnold Classic, Ohio wins. The Arnold Classic in Columbus, Ohio, is bodybuilding's second most prestigious title after the Mr. Olympia, named after Arnold Schwarzenegger himself and known for rewarding aesthetics, balance, and presentation. Winning it once cements a legacy. Winning it 5 times, as Dexter Jackson did, is almost beyond comprehension. Between 2005 and 2015, Dexter mastered the ability to peak early in the competitive year while still maintaining longevity and freshness for future shows. His conditioning was so precise that he became known as the Blade, cutting through lineups with razor-sharp detail and flawless symmetry. What makes this record nearly unbreakable is its logistical and physiological toll. The Arnold Classic requires athletes to be stage-ready in March, months before the Olympia season. To repeat that process 5 times, spread across a decade, demands meticulous recovery cycles and perfect timing of diet, water manipulation, and muscle fullness. Today's athletes often skip early season shows to preserve energy for the Olympia, making Dexter's run even more remarkable. No one since has matched his consistency, and in an era emphasizing selective peaking and reduced competition frequency, it's unlikely anyone ever will. Most Arnold Arnold Classic titles worldwide. Dexter Jackson's dominance extended far beyond Ohio. In total, he captured 9 Arnold Classic titles across the global series, spanning locations like Australia, Brazil, Europe, and South Africa. Each of these contests had different judging panels, climates, and travel schedules, yet Dexter maintained the same elite standard of presentation and conditioning across every continent. His ability to adapt to varying lighting, stage setups, and local expectations proved why he was called the most consistent bodybuilder in history. What separates this record from others is the sheer endurance it demands. Competing internationally means dealing with jet lag, dietary inconsistencies, and unpredictable timing of peak week. Most athletes focus on 1 or 2 major shows a year to protect longevity, but Dexter routinely entered multiple events annually and still won. To surpass 9 global Arnold victories, someone would need to travel, peak, and dominate worldwide for well over a decade. Today's competitors treat international contests more strategically, often skipping them to preserve health and sponsorship schedules. Jackson's 9-title sweep represents not just skill, but relentless professionalism and genetic resilience few could replicate. Most IFBB Pro League wins. Dexter Jackson's 29 IFBB Pro League victories represent one of the most enduring and untouchable streaks in bodybuilding history. These weren't small regional wins. They spanned major shows, including the Arnold Classic, the Mr. Olympia, and numerous international championships. Each win required months of dieting, travel, posing, and recovery. Yet Dexter displayed near-perfect precision every single time. His nickname, The Blade, came from his surgical ability to bring exact conditioning show after show, never appearing off or unprepared. This record's strength lies in its volume and longevity. To beat it, a bodybuilder would have to average 2 or more professional wins a year for nearly 15 consecutive years, without significant injuries or burnout. The modern competitive calendar makes that almost impossible. Today's elite athletes usually limit stage appearances to 1 or 2 events annually, prioritizing sponsorships, recovery, and social media branding over non-stop competition. Dexter competed relentlessly through decades, across eras, and against evolving judging standards, proving that consistency and precision can rival raw mass. His 29-win total isn't just a number. It's a timeline of complete dominance that defines professional excellence. Longest span between first and last pro wins. Dexter Jackson's career longevity stands as one of the most extraordinary feats in bodybuilding. His first professional win came in the late 1990s, and his final victory occurred nearly 2 decades later, spanning roughly 20 years of competition at the sport's highest level. During that time, the judging standards, athlete physiques, supplement science, and even lighting technology evolved dramatically. Yet Dexter remained competitive and victorious against multiple generations of bodybuilders, men who were sometimes half his age by his final seasons. The difficulty of sustaining an elite physique that long cannot be overstated. Bodybuilding places immense strain on the joints, metabolism, and internal systems. Maintaining muscle density and skin tightness through aging, injuries, and hormonal changes is nearly impossible. Dexter achieved it through consistency, clean technique, and recovery discipline that few could replicate. He knew exactly how to cycle his prep, preserve muscle, and avoid overtraining. To break his 20-year winning span, an athlete would need to turn pro young, stay injury-free for 2 decades, and remain relevant through evolving eras, a nearly impossible trifecta in modern bodybuilding. Most Mr. Olympia appearances. Competing on the Mr. Olympia stage is the pinnacle of bodybuilding achievement, but doing it around 20 times is nearly unheard of. Dexter Jackson accomplished exactly that, qualifying for and stepping onto the world's most demanding stage for 2 full decades. Each Olympia prep required 4 to 6 months of brutal dieting, meticulous posing practice, and precision water manipulation. Dexter repeated that process year after year through injuries, shifting aesthetics, and generational competition, outlasting everyone from Ronnie Coleman to Phil Heath and Big Ramy. What makes this record so exceptional is that longevity at this level is rarely sustainable. Most elite competitors burn out after 5 to 7 Olympia runs due to metabolic damage, connective tissue breakdown, or sheer psychological fatigue. Dexter's ability to stay in top 5 contention for over a decade while never missing qualification reflects genetic efficiency and disciplined recovery unmatched in the sport. To surpass 20 appearances, a bodybuilder would have to maintain pro low-level muscle density, skin tone, and organ health well into their late 40s. In today's era of shorter careers and more selective competition, that kind of durability is almost impossible to reproduce. Most consecutive Olympia top 5 finishes. Shawn Ray's streak of 12 consecutive top 5 finishes at the Mr. Olympia, 1990 to 2001, remains one of the most astonishing displays of consistency ever recorded in bodybuilding. Across that span, he faced legends like Dorian Yates, Flex Wheeler, Kevin Levrone, and Ronnie Coleman, yet never fell out of the sport's elite tier. What makes this achievement unique is that it wasn't based on size dominance. Ray's success came from near-perfect proportion, flawless posing, and conditioning that was repeatable year after year. His balance of mass and detail created a timeless physique that judges could never ignore, regardless of how the overall trends in bodybuilding shifted. The key to this record's endurance lies in precision and health management. Achieving Olympia-level shape even once is a monumental task, but doing it 12 years in a row without serious injury, illness, or burnout borders on impossible. In today's era, with deeper competition and stricter peaking demands, even one off-season miscalculation can push a competitor out of the top 5. To equal Ray's run, someone would need perfect health, zero missteps, and unwavering discipline for more than a decade, conditions unlikely ever to align again. Most 212 Olympia titles. James Flex Lewis stands as the undisputed king of the 212 division, winning 7 consecutive Olympia titles from 2012 to 2018. The 212 class limits competitors to 212 pounds, forcing a precise balance between fullness, symmetry, and definition. Flex mastered that formula year after year, bringing a physique that was both artistically proportioned and brutally dense. His rounded muscle bellies, crisp conditioning, and tight waistline created an illusion of size that dwarfed competitors often weighing the same. What made his dominance exceptional was how he continually refined details rather than chasing mass, each year arriving sharper, denser, and more polished. Breaking this record is highly improbable due to the razor-thin margins in the 212 division. With the class so competitive, even minor mistakes in water manipulation or glycogen loading can shift placings. Maintaining 7 years of perfect prep, injury management, and flawless timing under weight restrictions requires elite discipline and genetics. Modern athletes often move up to the open division seeking fame or financial reward, leaving few committed to staying and defending the 212 crown long enough to challenge Lewis's streak. His 7-year run remains a model of precision, bodybuilding perfection. Olympia plus Arnold, same year. In 2008, Dexter Jackson accomplished something no other bodybuilder had done before, or since, by winning both the Arnold Classic and the Mr. Olympia in the same calendar year. The two events are separated by several months, meaning Jackson had to achieve peak conditioning twice in one season against the world's best competitors. The Arnold Classic, held in March, demands early-year precision, while the Olympia in September requires a full rebound, re-diet, and second peaking phase, tasks that tax every part of the body and mind. Dexter's ability to maintain razor-sharp definition, full muscle bellies, and perfect symmetry across both shows proved his unmatched control over his physiology. This dual triumph is so difficult because bodybuilding peaks are fragile. A mistimed carbohydrate load, slight water retention, or hormonal mismanagement can ruin a prep. Most athletes structure their year around one major contest to avoid burnout, yet Dexter performed flawlessly twice against elite, rested opponents each time. To replicate his 2008 season, an athlete would need elite genetics, recovery capacity, and mental endurance far beyond normal limits. No one in modern bodybuilding has managed to even approach this double victory again. Youngest Mr. Olympia winner. At just 23 years old, Arnold Schwarzenegger became the youngest Mr. Olympia champion in history, a record that has stood unchallenged for over 5 decades. In 1970, bodybuilding was still evolving, with fewer resources, limited nutritional science, and minimal coaching support. Yet Arnold displayed maturity far beyond his years, combining massive muscle volume with classical symmetry and stage charisma unmatched at the time. His victory over veterans like Sergio Oliva marked a generational shift, proving that youth could triumph over experience through sheer work ethic and strategic training. Breaking this record today would be extraordinarily difficult. Modern bodybuilding careers develop more slowly due to the physical and financial demands of building world-class muscle. Most elite physiques require 10 to 15 years of progressive overload, hormonal optimization, and muscle maturity to reach Olympia standards. races. Younger competitors also face stricter qualification systems and longer prep timelines. For someone under 23 to win today, they'd need to possess near-perfect genetics, exceptional coaching, and financial backing from an early age, all aligning flawlessly. Arnold's 1970 victory wasn't just a win, it was a once-in-history convergence of youth, potential, and destiny. Oldest Mr. Olympia winner. At 43 years old, Shawn Rhoden defied every expectation by winning the 2018 Mr. Olympia, making him the oldest champion in history. His victory was remarkable, not only because of his age, but because of the level of competition he defeated. Rhoden toppled Phil Heath, who was chasing his 8th consecutive title, and was widely expected to tie Ronnie Coleman and Lee Haney's record. What set Rhoden apart was his ability to combine youthful muscle fullness with the refined maturity and detail that comes only from decades of training. His conditioning was flawless: thin skin, crisp lines, and a tiny waist that brought classic proportions back to the forefront of the modern era. This record is nearly impossible to surpass due to the toll bodybuilding takes on the human body. Years of intense dieting, heavy training, and hormonal stress accelerate aging. By their 40s, most athletes experience slower recovery, reduced elasticity, and fading skin tightness. For someone older than 43 to win, they'd need extraordinary genetics, perfect health, and an injury-free career spanning over 2 decades. Rhoden's victory remains the ultimate example of longevity, meeting perfection under pressure. Shortest Mr. Olympia winner. Standing only 5 feet 5 inches tall, Franco Columbu shattered every notion of what an Olympia champion should look like. Winning in 1976 and again in 1981, he proved that height could be irrelevant if muscle density, proportion, and conditioning were unmatched. Columbu's compact frame allowed his muscles to appear thicker and fuller than taller competitors, giving him a level of density that made every pose explosive. His chest and back were legendary, deep, striated, and powerful from his background in Olympic lifting and powerlifting. That raw strength created a physique so three-dimensional that he routinely outmassed men standing half a foot taller. The odds of another 5 foot 5 inch athlete winning the Open Mr. Olympia today are microscopic. Since the 1990s, judging standards have favored taller physiques with wide clavicles and long muscle bellies that produce a grander silhouette under the lights. Shorter competitors now dominate the 212 division, but the open class demands both width and stage presence that smaller frames rarely achieve. For a future bodybuilder of Franco's height to claim the Sandow, they would need supernatural structure, flawless symmetry, and conditioning so superior it erases all height disadvantages, something bodybuilding hasn't seen since Columbu's era. Lightest modern era Mr. Olympia winner. Frank Zane remains the lightest modern era Mr. Olympia champion, weighing just around 185 pounds at his peak competition form. His victories in 1977, 1978, and 1979 came during a time when the sport was transitioning toward heavier physiques. But Zane proved that refinement, symmetry, and aesthetic proportion could still triumph over brute size. His body embodied the golden ratio of bodybuilding: narrow waist, flaring lats, sweeping quads, and balanced muscle flow. Every detail from his vacuum pose to his flawless presentation was calculated to maximize illusion and artistry. This record's endurance lies in the irreversible evolution of bodybuilding standards. Since the 1990s, mass has become a dominant judging factor. Champions like Ronnie Coleman and Big Ramy stepped on stage at nearly double Zane's weight. Under today's expectations for extreme muscle thickness and fullness, a sub-200-pound Open Olympia winner would be considered undersized, regardless of aesthetics. For someone to match Zane's success, the judging criteria would have to shift dramatically back toward classical proportions and overall harmony, a return to valuing lines over size. Until that happens, Zane's 185-pound Olympia physique will stand as the lightest and most artistically perfect ever to win in the modern era. Heaviest Mr. Olympia winner. Mamadou Big Ramy. LSBA set the record as the heaviest Mr. Olympia winner, stepping on stage at roughly 290 pounds during his 2020 victory. Unlike many large competitors who sacrifice conditioning for size, Big Ramy achieved both, displaying granite-hard muscle separation, deep striations, and a surprisingly small waist for his mass. His enormous frame, particularly through the quads and shoulders, created a silhouette that dwarfed nearly every man beside him. It was a new level of muscular density that pushed the boundaries of what was physically possible while still maintaining symmetry and presentation. Breaking this record borders on biological impossibility. At At nearly 300 pounds of stage-lean muscle, Big Ramy represents the upper limit of human growth potential without catastrophic health costs. Beyond that threshold, athletes risk joint failure, cardiovascular strain, and hormonal collapse. Even among elite pros, maintaining extreme mass while achieving competition-level dryness is nearly unachievable. Future champions may refine shape or detail, but surpassing 290 pounds of peeled, symmetrical muscle would likely cross into unsafe territory. Ramy's Olympia physique stands as the heaviest and perhaps final frontier of mass in professional bodybuilding's open division.